Good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday News right here on 3FM 92.7. We're coming to you live from our studios here at Adisa Wikanda in Accra and our numerous affiliates across the country. We're also live on Facebook and all our social media platforms. Coming up this afternoon, public outrage as a bill has been laid before Parliament seeking to allow MPs and some key government officials to use sirens while exempting them from speed limits. Also this afternoon, Upper West Regional Security Council places 100,000 bounty on suspects of mysterious killings, urging residents to share information. And later in the bulletin, over 1.9 million youth in Ghana not in education, employment or training. Experts caution against negative redirection of their energies. These and more coming up shortly. Please do stay with us. My name is Judith Brown. We start with transportation and public outrage as a bill has been laid before Parliament seeking to allow MPs and some key government officials to use sirens while exempting them from speed limits. Now, these proposed privileges were previously reserved for emergencies. But while many have opposed the proposed bill, Member of Parliament for Asante Akim North, Andy Apiakubi, is justifying the move by government to amend parts of the Road Traffic Regulations 2012.
I don't see why we have to impugn hatred, impugn jealousy, impugn mistrust into the provision. It is omnibus and it covers a lot of institutions. So attempts to single out one particular institution for rebuke is not fair.
Well, earlier, the Bureau of Public Safety demanded the immediate withdrawal of the bill, citing fears of increased road crashes and fatalities, as well as other significant challenges likely to occur if the law is passed. Now, some members of the public have shared similar sentiments. Take a listen.
It was a little challenge for us because we were in the traffic, and before we realized, we had a siren, a car coming, and we need to give space. My car was a victim. They broke my side mirror, and I was the one to go and fix it myself. So I think it will be the best if they will also follow the proportional. So if I also have my money to buy my V8, I can go and fix the siren. And when police stop me, I'll tell them that I'm also picking this so-and-so minister.
Normally, sometimes on the road, the way sometimes there's a traffic on the road, then they just come straight to pass by. Sometimes it's not really okay.
Most of us, we have our agencies, like things that are agent to us. Some of them use just to skip traffic, which is unnecessary. You get it. Most people are going to work. We don't know what you two are going to do, but we all have the importance of what we are going to do. So I don't think it's necessary. Unless it's something important, there should be, like maybe ambulances are okay. Most people also now, because they are doing it, most people have the luxury of buying V8, also install these sirens just to skip. You will not even see police escorts, but these sirens will be just making noise for people to just shift their cars or just move, creating inconveniences.
The traffic is just it's very risky, so they have to be very careful.
Well, we'll touch base with our parliamentary correspondent on the process involved in laying the bill in Parliament shortly. But first, let's juxtapose this legislative instrument with what actually happens in other jurisdictions. And my colleague, Christian Yali, is joining me in studio with us. Christian, tell us more about what happens in other countries with regards to these sirens.
All right, Judith. So when you go to the United States of America, for instance, sirens on vehicles are reserved for emergency vehicles such as police cars, ambulances, and fire trucks. In the UK, it is controlled by Regulation 99 of the Road Vehicles Construction and Use Regulation 1986. So there in the UK, only cars authorized by law are allowed to use sirens. When you go to the India, for instance, the Supreme Court of India, you remember in 2017, issued a ban on the use of all types of beacon light on vehicles, except for emergency services such as ambulances, fire trucks, and police vehicles, which can use multicolored light on vehicles. Now, I take it to the Netherlands, where you have only designated emergency or priority vehicles that are allowed, or even in that case, their law says that they may choose to use blue light, which includes services like the police, fire brigade, ambulance service, and a few other smaller vehicles or services such as the blood bank and some lifeguard organizations are also allowed.
Right.
Now, in Norway, you have police, military, police, customs, fire department, rescue services, and ambulances, which are allowed to use sirens and lights. Government VIP embassy vehicles may also use blue light if accompanied by local police. Poland, in the case there, you have the police, fire service, ambulances, internal affairs, among others that are also permitted to use sirens. Now, let's come back to Africa, and you talk about South Africa, for instance, where it is allowed for members of the South African Police Service and Municipal Police Service, and also traffic officers, members of the SANDF military police who are allowed to use, and the cars operated by the state are also exempted. In Kenya, I was there last week, and there you talk about the Traffic Act, the Chapter 403, and this rule, and everything under it authorizes police vehicles, fire engines, ambulances, and other designated vehicles to make use of sirens and strobe light for reasons of public safety, security, and emergency response.
Ryan, many thanks for your time. That's my colleague, Christian Yali. He's given us what really is happening in other jurisdictions. Let's now engage an expert in the field. Cecil Gabra joins me on phone right now for more details. Now, good afternoon, sir. Would you say that this is unprecedented, judging from what is happening in other jurisdictions?
Yes, I would say so. This is Ghana for you. The real fact is that I don't think we are there listening to your colleagues mentioning Netherlands and so on and so forth. They have very good roads. They have segregated roads for their BRT system, the tram, as well as other buses. Okay, that works very efficiently. I have visited Holland and that's the Netherlands some few years ago. And then I went to meet the minister, okay, of transportation. It will interest you to know that he was seated in a train, and he met me outside his office. He was on a bicycle. I mean, definitely Africa would not do this. We will definitely be in a 4x4 and then make sure that we are being driven, and then the motorcade or rider leads us with a siren. That's what we want. With this bill, honestly, I would say that it must be withdrawn. We need to rather concentrate on the construction of roads for easy access. If we have easy access, there will be no need for any minister, any MP to use this siren or motorcade, which is going to be another issue of the government importing a lot more of motorbikes at the cost of the taxpayer. I could just imagine the number of motorbikes that we'll have on our roads, and this means that any 5-10 minutes, my friend will say, "Abai." So you have to save way for that, which means that when you're driving, even in the multiple lane, you will have to do a side drive and park your vehicle, as the law says that when you hear any siren, you will have to move to either the right, depending on the lane that has been selected. Okay. Already we are struggling on our roads, on our small roads. We have about total 4 million vehicles in Ghana. It's quite small, but we don't have access roads. I think it's time rather for the MPs to drive in traffic just like the IGP does.
Right.
That is what he does. On the Princess Road, that's where I live. We see him quite often, and stays in traffic, then gets to work like we, the ordinary people, will get to work. I think this is what must be emulated by any government official. This will rather give them that good ideas to look at where they must expand the network. But at the moment, Accra is choked. And then having all these sirens, picking up MPs, picking up other important personalities. I'm saying they are all very important anyway. Their work also matters. And then we also are so important that we have to work and make sure that we get money for the government.
Right. So, many thanks for your time.
Me, it must be shut down. We are not there yet. We should wait.
Right. Thank you so much for your time. I have been speaking with Cecil Gabra. He is an expert in this particular field. But we're going to hear something from think tank Imani Africa. They say that the passage of the airline will be chaotic.
It gets to a point, I'm sure, as we move along the line, it started with the executive, and then now we're adding the Chief Justice and whatever, the judges and all. Now we're adding MPs, and before I see assemblymen who also decide to be part of it, ward committee members, constituency chairman of political parties. Before you realize this becomes absurd. I mean, and so where are we going to end? So maybe I'm stretching the argument. But frankly speaking, really, that they want to go about their work efficiently. Don't forget, my good brother, that 3 years ago, the presidency actually issued a directive that no minister, no MP should use a siren at all. Do you remember? Just Google it, you see that story. So what changed? I'm surprised. What actually changed? That all of a sudden, we should accord our dear honorables the opportunity to speed without limits on these bad roads. It's even a danger to them, isn't it? And then at the same time, just make noise during the day by disturbing the peace. Already people are suffering on these roads anyway. I mean, what's the point in... Look, it doesn't make sense. Look, this is not... They shouldn't pursue. It doesn't make sense.
Right, you heard the Imani Africa think tank saying that the passage of the airline will be chaotic. We are working the phone lines to try and reach our parliamentary correspondent, Komla Kluche. He will be giving us more details on really what is it or how this will become a law as it's already been laid in Parliament. We'll also be asking him issues on how the public has already expressed outrage about this issue. And so if it is really passed, or if it is not even passed, how are they going to get Parliament to withdraw that bill? But of course, we are working the lines to get to him. In other news, though, 1.9 million youth aged 15 to 35 years in Ghana were not in education, employment, or training, according to the 2023 annual Household Income and Expenditure Survey. Now, out of this number, 1.2 million are females, outnumbering the 691 males. Now, this latest report points to the increasing calls for a lot of skill training for the youth and an increase in vocational and technical training. Let's engage now with the Regional Institute of Population Studies on this. Professor Bawe Japa is a executive director of the institute. Now, Professor, these figures should be worrying. What are the dangers associated with this?
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon to you in the studio and your listeners. Let me correct my name in the first place. My name is Ayaga Bawa, Professor Ayaga Bawa. As you may have already heard the reports, close to 2 million young people are not in any employment. They are not in any job or any training of any sort. And that, for me, is a major worry, because that's a huge number. Young people, as you know, have a lot of energy, they have the drive, and they are quite innovative. But if you have a huge number of such people who are not doing anything, then they may be forced to channel their energies into areas that are undesirable. And I think that all of us should be worried and try to put in efforts to reduce the number of people who are not in employment, they are not in education, and they are not in training of any form. As I indicated, if such people are not engaged, they may channel their energies in ways that are not desirable to society. They may engage in vices like armed robbery for young females who are very vulnerable. They may get into situations that we don't expect them to get into. And so we need to address this as a major problem in our country.
Rana, what would you say is the way forward?
So the way forward is for us all, and the government in particular, to find ways of creating avenues to train those who are not in any training, and for those who have had some training and are looking for employment, to find ways to absorb them so that they can, tap into their energies and creativity to be able to support the development aspirations of the country. So those are things that we need to do. But when I talk about training, we must begin to think about training that is relevant, training that can allow them to easily use their skills productively, rather than just drafting young people into any training of any sort. So we must be very, very intentional in ensuring that the training that we offer to these young people is training that is very relevant, and they can easily deploy their skills to be able to support the development of the country.
Right, many thanks for your time on this. We have been speaking to the Regional Institute of Population Studies. He is Professor Bawa Eyaga. He is the Executive Director of that institute there. Well, let's move on to some more stories. An Upper West Regional Security Council has placed 100,000 cedis bounty on suspects of mysterious killings in the region. They are urging residents to share information. This has become necessary in the face of after another person was found murdered in the early hours of Monday, July 15, 2024. Here is Regional Minister Stephen Yakubu.
I really don't know. I mean, these are things that we are pondering. We are wondering why people are not coming out because of fear, maybe because we have even put 100,000 on, anyone who can give us information that will lead to the arrest of some of these people. But as I said, it is just people telling us, informing the security services what they have seen that they are not comfortable with. And I'm very sure that if people start talking, they will still be able to unravel this in some very short time. It is just the silence of culture of silence. That is what is the problem. And that's what we are trying to do. And hopefully, we are doing a lot, which I don't want to say it on radio. I think that we are heading towards a situation where one day we will be able to catch the perpetrators. But what we are pleading is that we should come with whatever information, no matter how they think it's not relevant. They should just let us know. If they see anybody, now, in the night, it's very, very, very dangerous, for anybody at all to be out there alone, even taking fresh air and things like that. You never know what's going to happen to you. And this is something that is involving the entire one municipality. And it's something that we are saying that, look, we cannot do it alone. We need to do this together. We are engaging together. So any information that you have, please, just let us know. If you see someone moving towards a place in the night, maybe you've gotten up to go and use the toilet or anything like that, and you see somebody just call. There are numbers out there to call for us to know what is going on. That's the easy way for us to be able to unravel this because it's something that is very worrisome all about.
Right, you heard there, Stephen Yakubu. He is a regional minister. Now, the deceased, believed to be in his late 30s, was a driver's mate and was found lying motionless with a deep throat cut by the truck he followed to discharge goods at a warehouse. The latest killing brings to 27 the number of victims who have been brutally murdered by a suspected syndicate that has been operating in the Wa town since 2022. The youth in the area staged a protest over the weekend to register displeasure about the issue, and the Wa Regional Police Command is expected to meet the youth groups and other stakeholders in Wa over recent mysterious killings in the region. Morrison Banamwine is a youth leader, and he says they will use all avenues to bring security to the town.
We are to meet the Upper West Regional Police Command, headed by the Upper West Regional Commander, on this particular incident today, but our next line of action is that we are not going to do demonstration. We are going to use all routes. We are going to use all processes in this country to seek for justice to these people that we gave them to the Regional Police Command. That is 2 years ago. 27 people. Where are these people? We are asking them a question that they cannot even answer us today. If you look at one of the issues that we are asking in our petition is that we are asking the Regional Police Command and then the Upper West Regional Security Council to, as a matter of agency, that when these perpetrators are subsequently apprehended, justice should be served and on time. For justice delayed is justice denied.
Right, and now we're moving back to our story on sirens. We know an ally has been laid in Parliament for MPs to be able to use these sirens on our roads. Now, parliamentary correspondent Komla Kluche is joining us live for more on this. Now, Komla, good afternoon. We understand that the bill has already been laid in Parliament. Walk us through how it will become law.
Well, the ally was laid from our text from the table office and equally confirmed with a statement that the minority just released a short while ago on the 14th. And if it's supposed to mature, it means that it has to mature in 21 sitting days. 21 sitting days will start counting from the 14th, which the 14th of June, meaning that hopefully by the close of next week thereabouts, the ally would have matured. But with the controversy coming in now, with the Speaker indicating that he has no knowledge of it, which is quite surprising, there's every indication that this is likely to be withdrawn, probably by the Minister of Transport, by the Minister herein. And so, with a specific issue about what the process is when it has to be withdrawn, it's either the minister comes to withdraw it, which would be a simple matter, or if there's insistence, or let's say an overwhelming majority still wants it to still be on the books, it means that whoever is asking for a withdrawal must be able to seek two-thirds majority of MPs to have this withdrawn. And so, but from all indications, equally checking from the Transport Committee chaired by Kennedy Osenyako, he says the Transport Ministry was consulted on this. They never supported it, and it was a subsidiary legislation committee chaired by the NDC MP, Dr. Dominic Ayine, who really okayed this. There's some level of controversy around regarding this. The Speaker equally indicating that he has no knowledge of it, but we get an indication that one of the first items when the House starts pretty soon, the ally would be withdrawn.
Right now, that brings me to my next question. You have been interacting with the MPs in Parliament. What has the feeling been like for them?
They are beginning to succumb to the pressure from the public, and a good number of them are equally asking that this thing should be withdrawn. You can understand the times in which we are now. It's not right, and so a lot of them are beginning to get a realization, especially the NDC MPs, and it's equally beginning to take a political twist. And so it does appear that yes, it's coming from the NDC statement points to the fact that it is the transport minister who should withdraw, who came to lay it. But if you also look at it, the transport committee is also indicating that it is the subsidiary legislation committee, which is chaired by the NDC MP, who is doing this. And so it does appear that some substantial amount of work will have to be done on this, and work hearing, meaning that it could be withdrawn pretty soon.
Right. Many thanks for your time. That's our parliamentary correspondent, Komla Kluche. He has been bringing us more details of really what is happening in Parliament as regards to this airline that has been laid. Now let's do some more stories. And to SNIT now, and government business at various agencies has returned to normalcy after organized labor called off its strike to protest the sale of 60% of Social Security and National Insurance Trust shares in 4 hotels. Staff of the various unions halted the operations on Monday following a directive from organized labor. Now, organized labor has suspended the nationwide strike, giving SNIT a 1-month ultimatum to engage and resolve outstanding issues affecting SNIT operations. TUC General Secretary Dr. Yauba spoke to 3FM.
In a letter dated 12th of July 2024, with reference number BC-12-07-2024, SNIT informed organized labor that it has terminated the sale of 60% of its stake in the hotels. At an emergency meeting held today, Monday, 15th July 2024, organized labor has decided to call off the strike or advise ourselves.
Abraham Kumsing, who leads the Federation of Labour Unions, says organized labour would have extended the strike until SNIT board is dissolved. He, however, says if nothing concrete comes out of the engagements with SNIT board within the period, they will advise themselves.
We have decided to get some 10 from us, 4 from TUC, 4 from Forum, which is made up of the teachers, the nurses, the civil servants, and all that, and then GFL 2. So we add up to 10, so that we will engage them, let them know the terms of reference we give to them, let them know exactly what we are looking for. So within the week, we are going to do that work so that when they engage the SNIT management, they will know exactly what we are looking for.
Meanwhile, Labour expert Austin Gami has charged the Labour unions to continue to mount pressure on government.
Yeah, so first of all, the strike is virtually on suspension, not resolved, not called off as such. So suspension subject to the 1 month. The point at stake here is that SNIT has been managed poorly all these years, particularly the past years. And therefore, SNIT has to go through a complete transition period of, changes that will satisfy the owners of the money that is given to them to use. Let's be very clear. Pension, as we envisage it to be, is supposed to address certain concerns of the working people by way of managing the pension properly. But it's not being done. And so something drastic will have to be done through a transitional arrangement.
You heard there Austin Gami, Labour experts, talking about Labour unions continuing to mount pressure on government. And that's how I wrap up the midday news right here on 3FM 92.7. My name is Judith Brown. Do stay tuned. Business News is next.
Accra gets busy on this frequency. 92.7 3FM.
Hello, good afternoon. It's time now for Business Daily. Coming up, Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, COPEC Ghana calls on Bank of Ghana to strictly address cedi's depreciation to halt rising fuel prices. We'll bring you details.
Whatever the Bank of Ghana would need to do to scale back on the cedi's depreciated form of run, we should be able to do it to bring the cedi back to 14 to 13, possibly to 12.
Meanwhile, 3 business checks at some pumps reveal upward adjustment in fuel prices as petrol now sells at 15 cedis 10 pesos, whilst a litre of diesel is going for 15 cedis 25 pesos. Plus, Economist recommends Ghana's industrialization drive is anchored on comparative and cost advantage principles.
Our population is approximately 34 million. Let's make sure we produce what our population can consume to feed our population, and when there is excess, we can export.
I am Bismark Awusah. These stories and others lined up for you. Stay with me. Thanks for your company. Now to our very first story, the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, COPEC Ghana, has called on the Bank of Ghana's intervention to address rising fuel prices. Earlier, the Chamber forecasted a 4 percentage points hike in prices of petroleum products effective today, Tuesday, July 16, 2024. According to Executive Secretary of the Chamber, Duncan Amwa, the recent hikes witnessed at the pumps are a result of the cedi's depreciation against the dollar.
Your cedi for the past couple of weeks has been pretty unstable. I have broken it down this way. If an importer for petroleum products required for $10 million, say 145 million cedis to offset a supplier, and the cedi now moves to 15.5, what it will mean is that the importer would now require 155 million Ghana cedis to pay for the same $10 million supply. So that 10 million Ghana cedi variance would eventually be something you and I would end up sharing to pay. So whatever the Bank of Ghana would need to do to scale back on the cedi's depreciated form of run, we should be able to do it to bring the cedi back to 14 to 13, possibly to 12, if there's anything we can do in order to reverse the upward trajectory that the fuel price situation is currently on. The second factor is that international market prices also have gone up, but like I indicated, petrol you are doing about 3.7%, diesel is about 4.69%, LPG is about 12%. If you put these numbers together and then you also look at what the cedi has done, you are clearly going to see an upward adjustment.
And that was Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, COPEC Ghana, Duncan Amwa. Meanwhile, 3 business checks at some pumps in the capital have confirmed that expected upward adjustment in the prices of petroleum products. Shell is selling a litre of petrol at 15 cedis 10 pesos and diesel for 15 cedis 25 pesos. Oil marketing company Star Oil has also increased prices at its pumps, selling a litre of petrol at 13 cedis 93 pesos and diesel for 14 cedis 70 pesos. Some of these oil marketing companies we spoke to have attributed the increase to the rising prices of crude oil on the international market and the depreciating cedi. Moving on, an economist and project consultant, Dr. Gabriel Apote Ode, has advised that Ghana's industrialization efforts should prioritize domestic consumption, considering the country's large population before expanding to exports. According to him, this approach is crucial for making industrialization effective and sustainable. Dr. Ode recommends that the industrialization drive should be anchored on comparative and cost advantage principles.
We normally talk about production, we talk about consumption, distribution, wealth creation, the environment, and then data management. I'll just center on productivity, which is the actual base. Now, productivity from various concepts or from various angles simply refers to what you produce, and what you produce has to be what you consume. And so we don't want to do anything that we don't consume. As a country, we must focus on what we consume and also not ignore the capacity or the impact and influence about our population. So as we stand now, our population is approximately 34 million. All I want to admonish is, let's make sure we produce what our population can consume to feed our population, and when there is excess, we can export.
You heard the voice of economist and project consultant Dr. Gabriel Apote Ode. Now, Minister of State at the Finance Ministry, Abena Osei-Asare, has emphasized the need for partnerships to break barriers to small and medium-scale enterprises in the country. The minister stressed that prioritizing SME development is crucial for the country to fully leverage the Africa Continental Free Trade Area AfCFTA agreement. Speaking at the ongoing SME Growth and Opportunity Summit, jointly organized by the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Trade and Industries in Accra, she noted that the government is committed to supporting the sector's growth to unlock its full potentials. We will bring you that insight soon. Meanwhile, the World Bank estimates that by 2030, the learning crisis in Africa will cost the continent over $300 billion annually, highlighting the immense economic implications of this issue. Commenting on the development, founder and chief executive of Human Capital Africa and former World Bank vice president for Africa, Dr. Obiajeli Ezekwesili, stressed the need to channel the resources on the continent to address this challenge and ensure the attainment of the UN Sustainable Development Goals.
One of the key things that we have kept emphasizing with foundational learning is let the data guide you. The more that we are depending on data, understanding what the critical issues that are the barriers to learning are, then we will be effective in directing limited resources to those particular things. Otherwise, if we're just generally spending, we're building classrooms. So you build classrooms who are the children learning. Oh, we want to, buy computers. Are the children learning? We want to, go on student stores. Are the children learning? The question at the center of this is, are the children learning? Anything that is not going to create learning for children is a waste of existing resources, and we can't afford it.
You heard founder and chief executive of Human Capital Africa and former World Bank vice president for Africa, Dr. Obiajeli Ezekwesili. We take you back to our earlier story where the Minister of State at the Finance Ministry, Abena Osei-Asare, has emphasized the need for partnerships to break barriers to small and medium-scale enterprises growth in Ghana. The minister stressed that prioritizing SME development is crucial for the country to fully leverage the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement.
Together, we gather to strengthen the backbone of our economy, small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs. These dynamic businesses are the lifeblood of job creation and economic growth. Driving a resilient national and regional economy, it is noteworthy that 60% of Africans work for an SME, and this sector is responsible for creating 80% of new jobs. Over the past 4 decades, rapid economic growth has catapulted several Asian countries to the forefront of global economic leadership. SMEs played a pivotal role in this growth, especially in reviving these economies after the 1997-1998 Asian financial crisis and the 2008-2009 global financial crisis. They fostered international trade and stimulated domestic demand. I dare say that the parallels are clear. Ghana shares a similar context and potential. Our economy, though recently hit hard by multiple crises, stands poised to benefit immensely from Pan-African trade through the African Continental Free Trade Area, the world's largest free trade area. Prioritizing SME development in Ghana is crucial. Since June 2023, the government has engaged the private sector in key stakeholders as part of its enhanced growth strategy under the COVID-19 program for economic recovery, PCP.
Minister of State at the Finance Ministry, Abena Osei-Asare, and then Business Daily with me, Bismark Awusah. For more business stories, please log on to 3news.com. Thanks for your company.